Ahoy, hoy, and welcome to Players in Book. We're doing a bonus action this week. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna throw it over to Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Urban. See here, you can find all the stuff I'm doing at my website, lauren-urban.com, and you should keep an eye on it because I'm got stuff coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday that I can't talk about right now, but I can talk about on Tuesday, and then I can talk about on Wednesday. And uh, actually, you'll probably see it first on my Blue Sky, so follow me there. That's all I got to talk about, right?
Not, I don't know.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I don't know.
I think that's everything. Yeah.
Hi,
Jen.
I'm Jen Kretschmer. You can find me on the interwebs as dreamwisp.bisky.social or dreamwispjen or dreamwisp, depending where you're hanging out. And that's what I have to talk
All right.
about that I can talk about.
We've all got things going on that we can't talk about. I'm Jeremiah Samarian. You probably know me from the SCP Wiki and various other locations, but we're doing a bonus action this week. We had a few people that needed to be out due to various reasons. And I believe, just for scheduling wise, we're going to say that we probably will be dark next week. We were going to do a bonus action next week. We're just moving it to this week. And in the empty space, there will be
Convention
nothing. There will be
season.
nothing but an empty void. Um, so I was, oh, right. We're not going to say our code or put it on the screen, but if you need to
Yeah,
find
I'm
it,
sorry. Cassius did flag Little But Fierce on Kickstarter is happening right now. I should have plugged that. So please check that
Yes.
out. It's D&D flavored goodness for tiny humans who would like to learn to play tabletop games. So check it
uh,
out.
yes. Right, we're not gonna but if you type in exclamation point code into the chat, it will show you the code, and also I think it comes up periodically regardless. Also, you should try Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. It's fun. There are characters from not this game, but from people who play in this game, and it's good stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not very good at promoting it, but I think you should play it. I've played it before. It's lots of fun.
I mean, that you just got all of the salient points right there. So I think you did an excellent
Nice.
job. So yeah, use it gets you an Electrum chest, which will get you a whole bunch of gear for a variety of champions, including more than just the core champions. So yeah, get yourself a chest and yeah, uh, follow me on Blue Sky on Wednesday for reasons.
Okay. So little I don't have anything prepared. Oh, wait, we have questions in the chats that
Yeah.
I can dig out. I don't know if we've gotten any new ones.
Also,
We did
if
a
you have a
bonus.
question for uh today's hangout, put it in the chat after the word question, and we'll grab that and answer questions.
Yes,
So
I am keeping an eye on the chat.
I was going to say because we don't actually have a bunch of piled up bonus action questions this time around because we did a bonus action not too long ago. Um, so I think the one we can get ourselves started on, which unfortunately, I some of these questions are mostly like for the DM, but that's all right because we could discuss it a little bit. What happens if a book hole eats one of the player books?
Like the big giant
Yeah,
ones?
yeah. Um, and like
it's
I
like
guess
putting a portable hole in a bag of holding.
it's a little bit like what the question of like what would happen to one of the players if they went into the book hole. And like as much as I'm very strongly about like consequences for your actions sort of deal, I feel like that would grind the game to a narrative halt to some degree.
I feel like that's the kind of thing we would try to avoid at all
Yeah, yeah,
costs. Yeah.
absolutely. Not and
Um,
it's not something I as a DM would try and push you towards or like get you, you have to fight hanging over the book hole. Like, no, that would be silly.
no. No. Uh also
Although,
also I think okay, Fairlos might be the only one who can move her book, although there might be someone else who can move her book. So there's only so many people who can move her book. So there's only so
Rick
many
hasn't
people
tried imagining it yet.
I know, right? So there's only so many people who could potentially throw her book into the book hole. So if anyone tries to threaten her with throwing her book into the book hole, there's a very small finite number of people that she has to hunt down and tell tell no to. And by tell probably means threaten very much with a hammer.
I I think the reason why you had to leave it behind was because even you couldn't move it.
I I don't know if I couldn't move it or it was we
I'll
I
go
don't know
back and
if
watch that episode at some point to be sure, but I'm pretty sure you couldn't move it.
I don't think I tried, to be
It's
honest.
possible.
I think it was also one of those like because it's so big
Hmm.
and it was one of those at the because at the time we didn't have any way of like shrinking it down or making it slightly more portable. So it's like, well, if no one else can move it, why should I take it and have to try to like lug it around? We'll just leave it here
Hmm.
for the moment because no one else can open it, no one else can use it, no one can do anything with it. So we shouldn't be worried about it, which was true up until a point. So I don't even think I tried, to be honest. I think I tried to open it and that was about it.
Suddenly remembering when you when you say didn't have any way to shrink it or whatever. I think I was thinking about like my inspirations all of a sudden. I was thinking, oh, I played in a home campaign. Didn't last very long, but it was a few sessions. And one of the sessions we were sent to retrieve a book, and when we went to go to retrieve it, it was the size that I have made these books.
Ha!
And it just hit me that that was true. So I'm like, did I take that from there? I don't know. Um, but we had to steal it from like the center of this temple filled with a bunch of priests and stuff. And this was like 3.5 rules, I think. So I ended up doing we ended up casting reduce size or whatever. I don't know what the spelling was exactly, but reduce the size to a normal size book. And then we cast like a fog cloud and mad monkeys on the entire room to
Mad
create
monkeys?
as much chaos as possible, which is some sort of a spell that like mad monkeys is a bunch of monkeys come out of the ether and start destroying things. And
Well,
then
I mean,
in the
I'd be really mad if I just
yeah
got pulled from the ether too.
yeah, because as
Yeah,
far
I'd
as I
throw
know,
a tantrum.
they don't really
Yeah.
exist, but they do. It's a whole thing. And then we just stole it, and then we got it back to the quest giver, who was like, "That's the wrong book."
As quest givers are wont to do.
I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain it's fairly certain as a DM now. I'm fairly certain that the DM didn't expect was expecting a fight because I remember the how everything was laid out. And just sort of was like, well, now I need to fill out the rest of the session. So that's the wrong book. And yeah, eventually we stole a gnome who was reading it as the book that the guy wanted. It turned out not to be the ancient artifact of power at the center of the town, but instead a smutty romance novel that the dude was reading.
I mean, there is power in smut.
Yeah, fair enough. But he wouldn't give it up, so we threw him in a bag and took him to the quest giver.
I mean, there is power in bags too. I
Always go
mean,
for the. Sometimes I always think about that and be like, I'm just gonna go for the. Whenever I'm confronted with serious issue, like I feel like I can come up with creative solutions to problems, but when presented with a complex problem, my first response is to brute force it. Almost always. I need to get that book from the center of this thing. We could come up with a complex plan, or we could just yoink it and go. Or, this guy won't give up his book. Well, we could try to convince him. We could cast a spell to make him give it up. Or we could just throw him in a bag and take him to the quest giver. Here's the book and the guy that's got the book.
I mean, sometimes that is the joke of doors, right?
Mm,
Like that is the reason why D&D groups get stuck at doors. Here's a locked door, and then it turns into a comedy of errors.
yeah.
When
You really
there
want to
are,
confuse players, so you give them a sliding door.
oh
You could spend an
yeah,
entire session on why won't it open?
Oh my god, that's great. Oh,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, I have before been encountered with doors that you can't get open. I'm just like, can we just break it down? I mean, we could just do that, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I've definitely learned to be the rogue of the party when we encounter a door and does the thing of like, okay, can I quietly check if it is actually locked? Can I, quietly check to see, just add the quietly onto it, and
Mhm.
can I just check before we get into it? Before
I've
everybody gets all upset about everything. Can
I've
I just
had
check?
Yeah, because I've had games where 'cause in any like extremely large dungeon exploration, which I don't think we've really done in this game yet, but any like big, large, well, actually, this prison map was kind of a dungeon exploration, but I always include at least like one locked or trapped door, but not like all of them. Most of them are unlocked, most of them are untrapped. But one is always enough to keep the players getting up to the next door and immediately assuming that it is now.
Checking it first, yeah. Another fun thing you can do is you can do a hidden lock, so people recognize that the door is locked but can't figure out how or why.
Mm,
Um, it's
Yeah.
just because the door looks like a regular door, but there's a hidden lock. So that's always fun too. But no, I mean, my thing, my DM philosophy tirade on hidden trapped doors and such is as long as it makes sense,
mhm.
because the dungeons that are trapped for the sake of being trapped makes no sense unless you're talking about something that's supposed to be you were testing to see if you have the skills to enter a rogues guild or whatever. Why would you trap your own home like that? It just makes you're not going to home alone your own
Yeah.
apartment for no
Mm-hmm.
reason. You're not going to want to step on D4s every time you come in the door and take your shoes off. It makes no sense. So
But if you've got this
for me,
hidden,
you should think about the purpose of a dungeon, whether we're talking about a literal dungeon in universe or whatever you are building out, whatever region you're building up, for traps, for locked doors, for whatever, and think about the creatures that live there, because there are plenty of things that make sense to have for creatures of one type that wouldn't make sense to have for creatures of another type. Like beholders don't need stairs. You're not going to be dealing with a lot of staircases when you have a beholder who wouldn't ever want that,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not a useful thing. So
it's funny
form
because you
form should
said
follow
that.
function.
You said that, but I was like, but some of them might want it. Uh,
Aesthetically, maybe, but
I'd like,
Depends
it
on the
would only
guests
be
they're gonna have.
aesthetically, and
yeah,
then you can have like Escher
yeah,
stairs because
or
you're
like
just using it as an art appreciation thing because there's no
yeah,
purpose.
or some sort
Mm-hmm.
of grand staircase sort of deal. It's like, why do you have that? And it's just, I like it. It looks nice.
Yeah. Or you're the Xanathar and you're having people over, and so
Right.
all right, there are going to be beings. We're going to need stairs. Or I got
Okay,
the
well
ramp.
here we go. Here we go. Here's Jen's architectural tirade. You're getting it. Ramps will always make more sense than stairs.
Well, I
Always.
said ramps.
Because
Yeah.
creatures of all sizes live in these worlds. And so if you're going to have people over, you will have people who are halflings and you will have people over who are half giants. And it is much more architecturally viable to build a ramp than it is to build stairs that work for people of both of those sizes.
I agree, but
And ramp.
also the Xanathar is evil.
Right.
It's true.
I'm trying to think now, like when you say that, I really am curious, and maybe you do know the answer to this. Is it like cheaper to build stairs than ramps?
I don't No, I think
I
it's
don't.
probably about the same, depending
So
on, yeah, because I think where one would be where stairs would be more difficult because you have to think about level and keeping things symmetrical with how big each stair is and the kind of building material you're using. I think then the ramp, you're talking about angle of ramp, because ramps are only useful as long as ramp is not
right.
vertical.
At a correct, yeah.
Yeah, so I think what makes one more difficult to make than the other, I think it probably evens out.
It might be
And
compactness is the problem between ramps and stairs. Like you can get to a higher elevation on stairs in a smaller area. I'm guessing
yeah,
And you could
but
use teleportation circles for that.
that's very true.
yeah.
Or levitation.
Yeah.
like they had in Morrowind. I don't know if y'all have played Morrowind, but
Oh
Morrowind
God, forever ago.
uh
Yeah.
forever ago. Daggerfall had levitation too, but and then apparently by the time of Oblivion, the Empire had outlawed levitation, and that was a good enough reason for the players not to have the spell anymore. But a lot of like there were puzzles in different areas you could go to, and then like these were wizard towers, and they did not have stairs. They just had tubes that you levitated up and down if you needed to get to various levels. So like
Well, Baldur's Gate 3 had the mage tower with the
yeah, that's
elevator
true. With the
puzzle, which was
yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
That's a cool that tower had so many cool things in it. I like that tower.
Yeah. To real briefly go back to the whole locked door thing, and just traps, doors, that kind of thing. That is definitely where I also, as a DM, lean into the a player's passives,
Yes.
and go beyond passive perception because, once again, that's usually if you've got a rogue or a ranger or someone who's put some effort into the I'm going to be sneaky, or I'm going to be the investigator, or I'm going to be the person who can do the find traps or find hidden locks, and you don't want to bog down the go through the wizard tower looking for traps the whole time.
Yeah.
Doing the hey, give me one check or give me your passive, and unless you tell me you want to stop and do something more specific than that, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go off your passive, and and then the promise is I will not let you stumble into something that I know you would have stopped to check out.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's kind of the promise I make to the player is I promise I'm using your passive up until either I stop you or you stop you.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to have you fall into a pit trap just because, haha, your passive wasn't high enough to see the thing. Trust your passive until one of us stops you, okay?
Yeah.
Because
Because it
otherwise it's
slows
like I
down
check for traps. I check
momentum.
for traps.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I definitely have told players before, look, you're a person, not a like cartoon character. You're not it's not as soon as it's off screen you stop thinking about it. You are going through this dangerous dungeon. You are going to be careful. I understand that. Unless you guys literally tell me you're going to poke at something that's dangerous, I'm going to assume you're going through this dungeon with care. And we will assume through, yeah, I did the same exact same thing. And I'll say it up front to the players too, like you're talking about. Yeah.
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 We could, we had a couple more questions, it looks like. What do Lauren and Jen think that Tallulah and Crescenza, it says Krishna, but Crescenza are doing in the book? Everything is the goddess of yada yada expected or nah? Who do we have a name for who asked this one? I don't think so. All right.
What
Oh
do we
yeah,
think they're
it's
doing in
sorry,
the
I
book?
copied. I think that was that Cassius. Mm.
What do we think they're
It was
doing in the
Cassius.
book?
Cassius. Thank you for the question.
So specifically what do
What do
Lauren
you,
and
the
Jen?
players, think that the
Okay,
people are doing in the book?
because my answer and Fairless's answer are probably very different. um okay, I Lauren kind of believes that Crescenza really does want to give up her god powers. Whether that's naive or not, I don't know. But I do kind of think that that's her final goal is give up the divinity. I don't know if she wants to give up all of her power. I think she likes having a lot of power, but I think the divinity, she automatically succeeds on all of her checks and nobody can ever think of her as anything but amazing. I think she does want to give that up. So my guess is they're inside the book figuring out how to start that transfer. Um, and they've talked about how it's not an instant thing, it's going to take time. So the book is supposed to be, I mean, guessing from what we've seen, there are histories as they're being written. So I'm wondering if there's some authorship going on of like, seeding that kind of thing into the story of like, okay, and so this is how it's going to, we're going to co-author the next couple of footnotes to this is how it's going to work out. Um, Now, how much Tallulah has sway over that and how much Crescenza has sway over that's probably a negotiation. Um, that'll be interesting to see, but I think that's probably what they're doing. That's my guess.
Meisner exercises.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what they're doing. But for the second part of the question, is it going as Crescenza's expecting? Absolutely not.
No.
No, you put Tallulah in the mix. No, absolutely not. There is going to be a massive wrench thrown in that plan. That's my sense of it.
It will be interesting because I've thought about this a lot because I've a couple of sessions, at least one session now, I expected that we would start with it, so I kind of had the concept in mind of what was going to go on. It's thinking about what possible wrenches. Now you've got me thinking like what possible wrenches Tallulah could throw into the circumstance, and yeah, there could be a couple. I've seen Tallulah screw up simpler exchanges. Screw up's probably not the right word, but like overcomplicate simpler exchanges. It's absolutely possible.
Well, I think
Nothing will ever go in a straightforward
No.
manner,
no. And
especially the character like Tallulah. Just
well, and
she
also
exists
Crescenza.
to yeah, and Crescenza. I mean, both of them kind of exist to create chaos. So
Yeah. And both of them, just because of how charismatic they are inherently a little untrustworthy of each other because they know how charismatic each other are. So I think they're always going to be a little, there's going to be a little mistrust of, I don't know if I
yeah.
can fully trust that you're being honest with me because I know how good of an actor you are, you know? So yeah.
It's not like the Thieves Guild thing of we both know that we're not trustworthy outside of here, but when we're in here, we're completely trustworthy with one another. I don't think that's the scenario they have with each other. It's not that kind of, they're not those kind of people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think those exchanges are going to be on that same kind of direct level.
There's also uh the weird circumstance of Crescenza has this plan, and whether or not uh it is the plan that I think it is, that we think it is, whatever. Um but it is Tallulah's book. So Tallulah might not necessarily know or believe exactly what Crescenza's doing. So Crescenza might have the upper hand there. But at the end of the day, it's Tallulah's book. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, like what even the book allows them to do. Like,
Well, and I have one other thing that I'll add to this, which is, and this is a little bit of my own past character creeping in, but right now Tallulah is getting tons and tons of responsibility and opportunities for power thrown at her from every direction. And the most kind of chaotic, rebellious thing she can do in that circumstance is throw that all off and throw that all away and avoid it at all costs. And so while I think the instinct of many players would be to go, cool, I'm being offered, godhood. Yes, I'll take it. it might be a really interesting choice for Tallulah to go, no power, thank you very much. I don't want it. So that is another possible route because she's just been given the literal keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And now someone's saying, hey, how about, being a deity? She could go, hey, I just kind of wanted to go to college. Like that was
Yeah.
what I was here for.
So funny.
Wanted to go party and have a good time, and now you're trying to tell me I have to be in charge of things? No.
Man.
So yeah,
You
that
saying that
opportunity exists too.
you saying that has reminded me of my like initial pitch and plans for the campaign, which really were to just be like a sort of magical school. Sometimes you guys go sailing and do go on small adventures and stuff like that. But then you guys started to deeply examine the makeup of the world, and I was like, well, and so instead of just going to college, it's now this philosophical questions and godhood and all these other and empires falling. Um,
Whoops.
oops. Uh, but I did want to because this reminded me of something, so this could be a useful tangent here, and that's that I really didn't do a very good job or didn't have I feel like I had a very flawed original concept for Crescenza's motivations. My original concept for Crescenza's motivations was simply that she just wanted to go back to acting and she didn't like producing things as much anymore. And Jen, I think it might have been after a game or something like that, but I remember a comment from you that was very, very, like, ins incisive's not the right word, a little bit. You really cut through to the core of why that was sort of silly and like that a lot of women performers especially are trying to get to that point where they can be the creators and be the driving motivators behind it. And like between that session and the next, I was like, okay, well, she needs a better motivation for wanting to give up godhood if she's going to do that. Um, and then I ended up going back to, well, she's a god. She can't perform poorly. And that irks her from a creative standpoint. Um, but I did want to I did sometimes when that kind of stuff happens, it makes it seem like I've always had it that way. That was not the original conception of Crescenza. The original conception of Crescenza, blah, blah, I can't say it apparently, was significantly more flawed until player input made me change my mind a little bit.
What
But I think
happens in a collaborative
that's
game.
what a game is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's collaboration,
Point it
and
out every
so
once in a
things
while.
change, and you know that's how we build a world
Yeah,
together and how we tell stories together. So, and
which
I applaud you for hearing that feedback and adjusting.
well, yeah, but I think the important part is, especially for people who are like, what? Because a lot of this is DM advice for people. So, like, hey, listen to your players when they come up with some. If they point out a flaw in your game world, you know, and also you don't have to keep it to yourself and pretend like it was your idea. That's not. You don't have to do that either. Acknowledge other people's contributions when you can, as best as possible. I remember that happening, and then like we kind of sailed by it at the time, but I did eventually want to revisit it and thank you for the feedback on that. Like it wasn't meant to be. You weren't really
Absolutely.
giving me feedback. It was just a comment you'd made, but it was the kind of comment that was like made me wholly rethink this major character in a way that I think is better now. To the idea of like the creativeness, she's such a creative that she wants to be able to fail at something for once again, which I think
It's
is
not a tightrope if you can't fall off, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah,
let's see here. Is throwing a book into a book hole similar to putting a bag of holding into a bag of holding? Okay, so this is similar to the previous question. This one is by Toy 4 Run 85. Um so I did it's good to circle back to this because something I was thinking about is that Uh is this a spoiler? I don't think it's a spoiler. Not necessarily, because I don't. I'm always iffy on. I don't care about spoilers personally, so I try to respect other people's. But it's become sometimes hard for me to recognize what is and isn't going to spoil someone's experience. In this case, it's just
Here's the
like
thing, though. We never know what's actually going to happen in the game,
true.
and things also change in
They
how
do.
they happen.
I've
So
always until it happened. I say this. This is the caveat. I think I put this in my session zeros. Is like no matter what I say outside of the game, until it happens in a game on screen, or for in this case on screen, it doesn't exist yet. It's not real. Um so anyway, what was it? Oh yeah. And that's that I honestly have conceived of the idea that the books come from book holes in the first place. So putting them back wouldn't be would have might have serious ramifications, but not in the way that most people would previous to me saying that think that those ramifications would be. I would suppose.
then are carrying the books around essentially carrying parts of the book holes with us.
Yeah. Well,
Are we talking drops of water here?
the book holes are glitches in reality. They are flaws in the simulation. Um and the fact that people could pull the books like it's there's a cyclical nature to it. There's a whole there were previous iterations. There have obviously been previous dreamers as well that fulfill the role that Rivulet fulfills now, and so on and so forth. But one of the things that I'm not sure has gotten across fully in game yet, but which has been not explicitly very implicitly stated multiple times is that this isn't the first iteration of the simulation,
Yeah.
that there have been previous iterations of the simulation, some of which went exactly the same as this, but not exactly like well actually that's not true. This has been explicit. No, I was going to say it hadn't been explicit. It has been because there's a point where you were talking to Centra and he was telling you the way the simulation should go and how it had gone in the past iterations and somehow something had been changing it. Um,
Yeah. Didn't at some point they say they didn't know what to expect?
yeah, because things were going differently than the previous iterations of the simulation.
Yeah.
Um, and the book holes do have some relevance to that. This is the point where I do have to stop before continuing on with what I'm describing.
That's fine.
There is some book hole relevance to that point, but we'll see. We'll see if you guys actually. I mean, the book holes is sort of like one of the like I might always mention this before. I had like four plot points for each of the individual characters, but a lot of those should have crossover between characters. Like they're not exclusively. The really interesting thing was I was working on getting to know both the players and the characters when this campaign started. Like I didn't know you as players as well, getting your feedback, listening to it, absorbing it, understanding what you might want, well, trying to understand what you might want as players gives me a better way to shape future stories. So the first story was always going to be Tallulah. Well, it wasn't always going to be. That was once we decided we weren't. Once we kind of moved away from this college stuff. The first story I thought of was going to be a very simple overthrow the empress, the evil empress story, right? Like that's super easy to do. Um, and plus, I already know Katie very well from previous games, so it was very easy for me to sort of tailor it to her. And this went on this branch of the campaign, which is nearly finished, has gone on for way longer than I expected. I think we might have been I don't know how long, we at least 6 months just from the moment that you guys have arrived in Brescia to now. Um, future hopefully future story branches will include more people because this one felt very Tallulah focused. There's space for other stuff, but it felt very Tallulah focused. We're going to try and work on other stuff. I'm not entirely sure where I was going with this. I've just been
That's
talking.
okay. I think also it took a while out of game simply because it went over a holiday. It went
That's true.
over, like it just happened to go at a time in where we had to take a lot of time off
Mhm.
because of world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. yeah, we
And I think we were finding the show too. I think we were figuring out
mhm.
the ways that, you know, this is your first show and it's a different experience than a home game where
Yeah.
it's easier to go on a branch with one character kind of for a longer arc than it necessarily here, where if somebody can't make it for a little while and you're on a pathway with that character, then it shifts what you can do in the story. Like it's a different experience. And so adjusting to that isn't something, it's a learned process. And so I think this is the whole thing was a learning and settling in process for everybody to figure out what this show was and how we operate, you know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was about to say, I think I finally remembered the point I was meandering to get to earlier.
So
Uh,
what book holes are and
yeah,
why they
it's,
exist,
it's
and
like why the book
yeah.
holes exist and all this other stuff. It's just sort of like I honestly, this is why I like the maps. I know not everybody like why I do the maps and why I like the maps. One of the things about the maps that I've always enjoyed is that they develop story for me. Like I can put these maps on that have all these intricate details on them, and I don't have to zoom in to look because the players will look for me.
Mm.
They'll zoom in, they'll focus in on a thing, and they'll ask about a thing, and now I have to answer them because this is the game world that I've created for them, and that thing exists in. And I always say that like maps are essentially one to one. Very rarely will I say this doesn't actually exist in the real in the game world. It's only on the map because it's the only map I had available. And the book holes are just a map that I found that looked really cool. And I was like, I'm going to use this. Thank you, Shane Peck. I think it's Shane Pecker that does this, that particular map. Um, and yeah, this is yeah, the story comes from me, like hopefully uh, story comes I'm not necessarily building the world. I'm interpreting the world through my players, I guess is the better way to put it. So so many times I've seen someone like zoom in on a map and look at a like a little thing in the corner and be like, "Hey, what's this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What is this?" It's click, 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 zoom, zoom, zoom. Ah, yes, the ancient gem of a and just going from there. But yeah, working the book hole into the lore of the game was something, and plus it's just fun to say book hole over and over again. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a word, two
it's just the
words.
thing.
Yeah.
Book hole. The problem is libraries? What?
No, the problem is things that want to eat libraries. Libraries are so good that it's the things that want to eat the libraries.
That's fair. And the dark glitch, which I still I find that I was when I discovered that those two things sounded the same, I was so happy. Uh, stupid happy. I was like, dark glitch, dark glitch, dark. I mean, I spent a little time thinking about the formation of my mouth on those words, and you do make different dark glitch, dark lit, but they sound exactly the same regardless.
Yep.
Um, but I've ranted enough on that particular topic. So let's if Tallulah becomes a god, what does that do to her play? So okay, part of the it's slow thing is that for the extent of however long this campaign goes, she's just gonna level up like normal and get more powerful as a bard.
Yeah, we kind of
Um
figured, yeah.
yeah. uh if any godhood does come to Lula to the level that it's noticeable beyond leveling up, by the because a primary caster leveling up, it's pretty powerful very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Especially
so
bards.
yeah, especially bards. Well, any godhood will probably come post game, sort of post campaign story. Um, so I don't think we have to worry about that too much. And that's a big if. Who knows? Like she could still die between now and the end of the campaign, and that'll be its own thing. Um,
I
it's
don't know if we get to level 20, I get to cast Wish, so there you go. I get to reach godhood before she does.
the best spell. Actually, no, she'll get wish. Well, assuming she takes it as a magical secret, she'll get wish at 17.
Maybe.
I think is it 18? I don't remember. Um,
Magical security in ninth level that early?
Well, no, because you get it again. You get another
Bards
magical
can't get
secret.
wish before wizards
I
Maybe.
think.
Oh,
and stuff, right?
I honestly don't remember. I just know that that's
That
the new capstone
doesn't.
is instead
Oh,
of instead of it
that
being
feels.
that's the new way that they do
You get
divine
it from.
intervention.
You definitely get it from. Yeah. Oh, at 18, it's 18. So it's not 17. It's 18. You get another magical secrets at 18.
Yeah, but she's got to take it as a spell. I get it as divine intervention.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
It's the flavor of the thing.
Flavor of the thing. Also, thank you to Cassius 335 for that question. Um, yeah, no, it's yeah. And I know because I've played a lot of bards, so I was like, I know I get wish. I don't think I've ever actually gotten a bard to a level where it gets wish, but it's definitely been in the plans. Um, but yeah, no, they don't get it at 17. They get it at 18, I believe. Which a wizard would get it at
At
17.
18, now you get superior inspiration.
Oh, it's just, hold on, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't think about 20.
So
The new set of rules. Um, I wasn't thinking about that version of the bard. Oh,
Yeah, what bards get
yeah,
at 20 now is okay, but
better than what it used to be.
it's better than what it used to be. And but frankly, what bards are getting up to that point is so amazing that it's not like
It
it's not like it's a big deal that their capstone isn't wish. Uh,
yeah.
Oh, right, because
so
magical secrets now just gives you access to the
everything.
cleric, druid, and wizard spell lists that you can just choose. I think at level up like normal. So
Yeah.
technically, they would get it earlier now. It would be at 17 because they would have access to the wizard spell list. Yeah, yeah. I just remembered that they changed a little bit how that works.
Yeah. But
Ah,
we've had that talk before, so I won't go down that path again. Sorry, we're getting distracted by spells.
sorry about that.
Oh,
Had an emergency text to
oh,
turn that
Oh,
was not
good.
as emergency as I thought it was.
oh, that's good.
So yeah, yeah, no, they do get magical secrets at that level. So that is an interesting uh they do get wish. They get wish. That was the thing. I'm sorry. My
Yes.
brain has to
Yeah,
reset now. They do get wish. They do get it at the same
but they
time as wizards.
not before wizards. Yeah,
Yeah.
because man, that would suck.
That would be weird.
There's no longer any incentive to ever be a wizard at that point. If you're
I
your
mean,
cool stuff, everybody bards get before you get
I know
everything.
there are good reasons still to be wizards, but like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing an arcane spellcaster these days, it's probably not wizard. It's probably sorcerer or bard.
I don't
I
know. I literally was talking about wizards and artificers recently because we were talking about the cartographer artificer
right,
and some of the stuff that they can
which is
do,
crazy. They have some
wh-
crazy abilities.
which is really really cool. I kind of like it. Like when you first read over it, it's like, "Oh, okay, they're Nightcrawler. That's kind of cool." And then you really think about the way that that one ability is talked about how you can you basically can start casting some of those spells and it doesn't matter if you have line of sight on people anymore as long as they have
Mhm.
that little piece of the map on them, and suddenly it's like, oh, I can heal people from anywhere. Like some of the stuff
That
that you can
may be the way to move Riv to the
Actually,
new edition
that's
because
a
that's the closest
that
to.
is an interesting thought. Yeah,
But I
yeah,
do like being a druid.
being a druid is really cool. I
But
could see it
that's the
going a couple ways.
closest.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so that artificer is pretty cool, but we were getting into like spell scrolls and stuff, and the who can use spell scrolls and how you can use spell scrolls and how and the limitations on them. And I started talking about, okay, well, rules is written, this is, and I went through all of them and I'm like, and that's why wizards, because that's why wizards, because
that's
if
why
you
wizards.
yeah, because if you want to be the most effective at spell scrolls, wizards.
yeah.
That's
So
That's true.
the quick answer is, you know, because you can just into spellbook, or I can just cast it, or I can just do all kinds of cool stuff with spell scrolls. If you want to be able to ritually cast, if you want to do the
Yeah.
facility with all the spells and spell scrolls, yeah. And then that's my DM advice for you. If you have a wizard in your party, throw spell scrolls
mm,
at your party, because that is one of the, it doesn't matter what their subclass is, they get to do really cool things with spell scrolls. And if anybody else gets a hold of a spell scroll, it's not that they can't cast it, but they're going to have that moment where they're going to go to cast it, and you're going to go, okay, give me like the intelligence check. And they're going to go, here, take this spell scroll.
Yeah, and I
There
think a
you go.
lot of DMs don't give their wizards spell scrolls. I think that they don't show up a lot. Um,
I've been guilty of that. I've got to
I
get better
and
at
a
mean,
that.
lot of wizards also don't share spells when you have multiple wizards in the party, which is
or
a tragedy.
Yeah.
or I was gonna say, or DMs that have wizard NPCs that won't share their spell books as well, which is the
Hmm.
way I haven't done as many spell scrolls in this game, but we've encountered 3 different wizards that have opened up their spell books, uh, which has been helpful, hopefully, in that regard.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
it's just like you do need to consider that that's actually sort of, it's a little bit like how every class has like hidden things about them that are important that people don't even think about. And for wizards, is you're absolutely correct, Lauren. It is the spell scrolls. That's extremely important for that class. And if they're not getting access to that, they're going to feel a little lagging behind something more simple like a sorcerer that just sort of, I cast innate sorcery and then I cast scorching ray. That's my
Well,
deal.
yeah. The ritual casting. That, like,
Right.
those two things are really, really, really helpful. And so yeah, those two things, then having the giant stack of spells in your spell book,
Mhm.
that you can just keep adding to, and it doesn't matter where you're getting those spells from. Because yeah, it's really cool as a cleric or as a druid to be able to customize your kit every single day, but we can only, and I say only like it's a small list, but like I can only pick cleric spells, and druids can only do druid spells. The wizards can, whatever's in their tome, they get to choose from. And if they happen to have picked up a cleric spell, or if they've picked up a, you know, ranger spell or something, it's in the tome, they get to choose it. So yeah,
But on that
that's,
front too, also DM advice for people who have casters in their party, give your players enough information about what they're heading into to let them prepare useful spells.
yeah.
Because otherwise it gets really, as someone who plays a lot of casters, it gets really disappointing to have all of these cool spells and then never using them because you're going to take all of the utility spells that might be useful because you have no idea what you're heading into. Um, that that I think comes up often, and that again nerfs what you feel like you're able to do as a player. So as a DM, giving your players enough information to say, hey, you're going to a fire heavy place, you might want to pack things that'll help with that.
Mm.
That's a useful piece of knowledge. So rather than your players just having the same Swiss Army knife of the same generic spells,
Yeah.
they can pull out some of the cooler things that they have in that huge stack of spells instead of using the same 5 or 6 every single day.
I've played wizards before, and part of my problem is that I will overthink things. And a wizard gives you so many opportunities to overthink your
Mm.
preparation. That's why I tend to want to move towards casters that have defined, like, you pick a spell and that's your spell until you level up, sort of deal. Um, and that has it annoys me too because I'd love to be able to play an intelligence caster that just chooses spells. And you don't really get that out of the artificer, and you don't get that out of the wizard because the artificer is prepared and the wizard is also does its thing with its like, I have this and I'm gonna switch over to that. And it's not that I don't like coming up with, I like it, there's a limitation to yourself that I enjoy about, like, when I think about heroic fantasy, I think there's some heroic fantasy where people just pull whatever ability they need out of their butts. But I do love the idea of like a person with defined powers. Like, this is what they can do. And then approaching a problem where they are not built to solve and then trying to figure out how to solve it anyway. That's the only sort of I don't like puzzles. That's the only sort of puzzle I could actually get behind. Not having the tools to solve a problem. Uh so like yeah, I wish there were more I just wish there were more intelligence casters, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I like playing smart characters, but I usually have to be like, can I just be like a charisma caster that's really smart too? Like, or like treat charisma as sort of like, yeah, it's a whole thing sometimes when I'm running into it. But yeah, yeah, you got
I've
me
just
thinking now.
Yeah, I've just enjoyed getting characters who intelligence is not the dumb stat. Like,
Mm.
because, yeah, there's so little outside of a couple of wizards and a couple of like subclasses of some other characters that don't use intelligence. And so intelligence becomes the dumb stat for so many characters. I think I joked recently about how this is the first cleric I've played that has a bonus to religion because I made sure that Fairlos did not have intelligence as a dumb stat, has a bonus to intelligence. My Friday game, the Ranger Rogue, has a 10 in intelligence because I want to make sure all of her mental stats, like I've been very recently, it's like, all right, I want to make sure that at least intelligence is at least a 10, because even if it doesn't have to be, because I want that not to be it's become the cliche in so many characters. If you don't need it, that becomes the dumb stat. So it's made some of the role play more interesting because it's meant, okay, if I'm going to have a stat under 10 and it's not going to be intelligence, what is it and why? And where else am
Strength,
I going to put it?
always.
I was just saying, what is it and why is it strength?
Always
Well,
strength.
with my ranger rogue, it is strength. For other reasons, with Fairlos, it's charisma,
Sometimes it's
and y'all
dex.
know why.
Every once in a while it's dex, and sometimes it's charisma, but it's never wisdom.
I've done.
I
I've
still
seen
think
people dump wisdom before. It's not recommended. Not for
It's
the
not
way this game
recommended.
runs.
With you
I
have to.
still object to that nature is not a wisdom stat
It
and
really
that
should be.
religion is not a wisdom stat. Like they should be tied. They should be
Well,
keyed to
they did a
for
little bit of
druid
that.
and
Eh,
for
Didn't they do a little
cleric.
bit of that with at least cleric? I think if you take the sort of, it gives you a bonus based on your wisdom modifier to those skills.
if you're an Arcana cleric, I think you
Yeah.
get, yeah, because
They did like a little bit but you're right, absolutely. But I think part of it is that they just have so many very powerful wisdom skills already
yeah.
that it does. And like if you take those out of intelligence skills get even smaller, I guess, in the sense that like investigation's probably the most commonly used outside of the
I mean,
knowledge
you
ones.
there's very few, but I would say that they're very powerful because it's Arcana, investigation, and history, and those three alone are pretty
Depends on
clutch.
the campaign though.
It's
For
true,
sure.
but
Yeah.
those get used a lot. I don't like it, but I understand it,
Yeah.
which is the rationale of religion is not it is the book study. It is the I
It's a
went
studied
to,
thing. I know,
yeah, and it
In
has
the
nothing to do with
but
your specific religion. It is
it
did you
doesn't make
go?
sense that no clerics have religion anymore
right.
and
It
that no
also
druids have nature anymore. It's
Yeah.
so
The
absurd.
nature thing I think is worse for druids because that doesn't make any sense to me. The religion thing I've gotten over as a cleric because it's the book thing. It's like, and
Yeah.
especially like with Fairlos where it has nothing to do with books, zero to do with reading and studying other, like not only does she not know about other religions, like her own religion, she barely, she has a conversation or two with her own God and is like, all
Yeah.
right, bye. So like
a
I've
lot of that
kind of
though, a lot of that
I've kind
problem
of
can
gotten that okay, but the nature thing, no, absolutely I agree with you.
I think a lot of that problem might come out of just lazy DMs Because like you run. Well, think about this. You get a cleric, right? And they want to learn something about their religion, but it's focused on their own religion, their own relationship with their god. And not lazy DM, a mistake. Let's put it that way. And then so the DM will just immediately go, well, religion, make a religion check. When they could be going like, make an insight check.
Yeah.
Or it could be a religion
Or that
wisdom.
you can change this. You can absolutely change the stat that you're calling for, which
But
I have
I
done
still
rarely.
think overall, it just if you're going to have, I know thematically cleric has changed and it is no longer necessarily a priest of a god the same way it was in previous editions, but it's still those two still.
The
It is.
nature one, I think is the worst of the two because
Yeah, nature's it's so
that
much worse.
that one because and once again, not just druids. I think are the it's more egregious with druids. Absolutely. Why can't druids do nature? But I got that ranger that I'm talking about from the Friday game, who she's a tracker. She does
Yep.
she's specifically, her whole thing is she hunts down other beings. It's not a
Yep.
she doesn't do like wilderness hunting. But it does include like tracking people through nature. It's not just urban environments, it's all environments. So the fact that she, at the very least she's got a 10 in intelligence means her nature isn't too bad. And I think I even gave her proficiency in it for that exact reason. But like, yeah, it's like
Well, but that would be survival, right? Tracking would be survival,
it would be, but
which
like
is a wisdom
knowing,
stat.
which is a wisdom stat, but like knowing
But
about nature and
the DMs
knowing,
would probably go to the nature side of
I
stuff,
feel
right?
like
yeah.
from a
Well, that
design
depends on what I'm doing. So yeah.
I think from a design standpoint, the easy way to solve the problem that you're outlining, and it is a problem, um, would probably just be to have like somewhere on the cleric uh description, you may use wisdom instead of intelligence for religion checks. And for druids, the same thing, but for nature.
Yeah.
And I don't think in any way that would be a game breaking like buff to those characters, right?
No,
Uh
it's the same thing as like the barbarian who gets to use strength for intimidation or stuff
right.
like that. You know, it's
Well, yeah.
the way you're
That
doing
exact
it.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, the way you're doing it, it doesn't necessarily conform to the stat that is normally associated with it. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. So being able to substitute the stat makes total sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And that's easy for us to it's easy for me to say, well, the DM should just do that on their own when it's appropriate. But the whole point of the rules and the rule set is to like it's not necessarily like we know where to adjust. I'm talking about the three of us specifically. We know where to adjust. We'll probably still make that mistake sometimes too, just in the moment. But
yeah.
if that was in there, the player would be like, hold on a second, I can do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a more complicated. You have to have a more in-depth understanding of the rules to be
Yeah.
able to make that change, and so I understand why it's not keyed to it. What gets at me is that in other editions it was, and
Mm.
that just I get cranky.
We have one more question before we go.
Sorry.
No,
Nope,
you're all right.
that's
No, you're all
okay.
right.
No, I feel bad that I that bugs me because it shouldn't.
Why
I
would you feel
understand why
bad?
it's there logically, but it
Listen, we've all got stuff that we understand why
we
it's
all
there,
have
but
our
it still
yeah.
bugs. Yeah, it's
I mean, look, sunlight now does sunlight, so I have way fewer issues than I used to have.
See invisibility, I'm pretty sure now works the way it's supposed to. So that was always my big one.
Yeah, look, the rules update made a lot of things better.
Although I think Find Trap still
So
sucks.
Find Traps is still kind of meh, and we're not gonna talk about spiritual weapon. What's that other question that's come up?
other
Sorry.
questions, yeah.
Sorry. So Find Traps. Is there a trap in this room? Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Is the trap in the room with us now?
Yes. The trap in the room.
Uh,
It's somewhere within a certain number of feet.
are there any past events of Heimel that would make for good flashbacks? Critical Role started doing something similar with cold opens, but of course, Player and Boat doesn't have those. That's from Cassius335. Okay, so
Oh, jeez.
hilariously, I mean, yes, obviously, any world of that's got. I mean, like, what would be really interesting is doing the various flashbacks to the reality television shows that created the current subset of gods.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I've
You're
already
trying to give me flashback trauma to when I actually worked on reality TV, aren't you?
maybe not. Maybe we don't do that in this game. But like I had an idea for the God in the Light, which was like their reality television show that they won was a combination of like Forged in Fire and American Ninja Warrior, where like the job was they need to make the tools and weapons that they were going to use to
Oh,
go up
cool.
against other people. Because he's the Forge God, he's the God in the Light. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and that's one of the few ones like what I feel like the God in the Heart was probably just like a Big Brother reality television show because this really is about social and stuff like that and like understanding other people. But I like feel like how would he have won it? Because he probably wouldn't have backstabbed people. I don't know.
No, but
I'd have to design it.
he would have been the one that was so nice to everybody that nobody would have wanted to backstab.
That's fair.
He
Oh, he's
would
the
have
guy that got dragged along to the finale by the backstabbing person.
Oh, the goat?
Yeah.
They call it the goat because you're brought along
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be slaughtered,
Yeah, yeah.
sacrificed
Oh,
in the, yeah, you're called the goat.
But ends up winning
jeez.
anyway, which sometimes happens too. Yeah, I like
Because
that. That's actually
nobody has the heart to actually do it.
yeah. I like that. That's actually really fun. Like I played this game really hard. I did this thing, I did all this, and this other person didn't do
For
anything.
for no reason, everyone should watch the most recent season of UK Traders.
Oh.
For no
Actually,
reason.
UK has two, the Celebrity UK and the recent UK Trader season are both phenomenal social engineering
Hmm.
pieces of storytelling. I don't watch a lot of reality TV because I worked on it, and so I'm not interested in a lot of it. I love the Traders. I love it so much. It's Blood on the Clock Tower. It's Werewolf. It's, all of those social deduction games. And US is good. UK is great. Their production and their casting is so interesting. It they've had such interesting final outcomes of their games. It's worth watching for
Hmm.
reasons.
I just
Um,
I
on this question, I just want to say flashbacks and cutscenes are some of my favorite mechanics from earlier editions of D&D. And I'm so happy that they're getting some attention because of what's happening with Critical Role, because they're things that I've been like trying to turn people onto for so long. They're just great tools as a DM to build your world out, to have consequences happen that can show the scale of your villains without impacting your PCs. Like, you can destroy villages and not have to worry about affecting the characters that your players are so, care so much about and will be very upset if anything happens. You can do so many things with that, including having, a holiday game with all villains. Just putting that one out there. But you can just do so much world building with cutscenes, with flashbacks, with cold open kind of gameplay. So they're awesome, and yay for those being a thing that is coming back into the consciousness of TTRPG players.
it's funny that you mentioned the all villains game thing because that was originally an idea I had, and then I know you'd already done it for the Patreon game that a couple Patreon games that I still need to run. We're not offering it anymore as a Patreon reward, but we still have some games to do. And but all this talk about this made me realize that doing a couple of one shots in those or maybe even in the same one, but in those reality television show games, that could be a great idea for a theme for doing that.
But also
Actually,
run a Blood on the Clock Tower Traders game.
that yeah.
I will say one of the most successful fourth edition campaigns I ever run was an all evil campaign. It
Mm,
was one of the only fourth edition full 1 to, I mean, it was essentially the 1 to 20 campaign, but it was fourth edition, so it was 1 to 40
30.
something, 38, yeah,
Oh yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. And yeah, I ran a full, everybody was evil. But we did the pre game. All right, you're gonna be evil, but you're all gonna want to work together. And we came up with the reasons of, why. Nowadays you would call it a session zero, but this was before that was a terminology. Um, and so we essentially did a session zero. It was like, okay, these are the rules. These are the things that, yeah, we're gonna be playing evil characters, but we're not crossing this line, we're not crossing this line, we're not crossing this line. And yeah, they they took over the world. They won. They won. They weren't quite as evil as like there's a point in the campaign in where I thought, because then the challenge for me was, all right, I'm going to try to make them change their evil ways and go good. That was the whole the BBEG was trying to reform them. So at every opportunity, it was like, well, would you like to change over to the side of good? And there were a bunch of times where it was like, well, they're still evil and they're still trying to take over the world and they're still doing like massive evil things, but also they won't kill the puppy. And that's metaphorical. So yeah, it was a very interesting campaign. But yeah, they were all evil. We had Paladin of Evil God. It was kind of awesome and scary and awesome. And yeah, those evil people won.
I'd love to either play in or run a like a short series where the it's a all evil campaign, but your job is actually to save the world.
Well, and that was exactly how we made it work,
Mm,
because the idea of evil is they didn't think they were evil. True
right.
evil is I think I am the hero of my own story. They were all working for a god who was like, if I'm the one in charge, and I'm the one ruling everything, everything will be great. You just have to follow me, and I will get rid of all of these people, and then everything will be fine, and then it'll be great. And these people all believed that, so they didn't think they were evil. They thought that they were helping bring about peace by getting. They thought they were getting rid of all the bad people. So
Gotcha.
The
See,
other way to take it is the irredeemable type, the comic book irredeemable, where there's essentially it's what happens if Superman, if all of the having superhearing and hearing every awful thing everyone always says about you, and never getting any of the people just get angry about all the things that happen when you're around, and it just gets to you, and you don't have the coping skills to be a superhero, and
yeah,
so that person goes bad, so all of the villains have to band together to to save the
yeah,
world from the superhero.
I've
um
seen that.
that's another fun setup if you want to have evil folks who are, you know at a common goal.
So
hmm
I was thinking of it on a character basis of like a huge influence on my storytelling, but is an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where I think Angel's about to destroy the world and Spike shows up to talk to Buffy and is like, he's gonna destroy the world. I'm gonna help you stop him because that's where all my stuff is, basically, is the point. It's like, yes, and plus, like, if he kills all of the people, there will be no more people for me to kill and eat. And that would suck. Like I want to do that version of evil. Like
Yeah.
I'm here to stop the apocalypse because this is where all of my stuff is.
Also, my lovely partner is in chat and reminded me that that was the campaign. We're in the middle of the campaign. We were playing at our apartment at the time, and there was a knock at the door, and a bunch of Mormons arrived to try to preach. And I got to tell a bunch of Mormons about how no, we're in the middle of a fight. Uh, in our D&D game, they're summoning a demon right now. Would you like to join us? And you know how Mormons, it's always there's the older one and the younger one, and I thought the younger one, I thought the younger one looked at me like I was the one who had turned into a being from the nine hells, and oh yeah, it was a moment. It was yeah.
That's fine.
I'm like, oh, you have no idea what's around the corner with these people right now. They're all, yeah. So yes,
Oh my gosh.
all evil campaign, Mormons at the door. It was a day.
Uh, unless any more questions are sticking out, I think that can be where we sort of stop off. So,
Yeah.
um, it's been a pleasure. Sorry, let me open up my document. Tells me what to do next.
It's good
Right.
to have notes.
Well, it's less that and more like do this next because you will forget.
It's good to have notes.
Does anyone have it? Well, we already did this at the top. To be honest with you, does anyone have anything they want to plug before we go?
Yeah. So I can't tell you in specific what it is, but you should follow me on Blue Sky or at my website, lauren-urban.com, because on Tuesday there's a very cool thing that is dropping that I will talk about. And on Wednesday, there's a very cool thing that is dropping that I will talk about. So if you follow me on Blue Sky or on Instagram, but mostly Blue Sky or my website, lauren-urban.com, I will be talking about those then. So thank you.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at dreamwisp.bisky.social or Dreamwisp Gen or Dreamwisp, depending on what platform you are on. And I will have things to talk about at some point when I have things to talk about. Check out Little But Fierce, the Kickstarter. It is cool. There's fun things for young folks to play tabletop games. Otherwise, I will see you all in a few weeks.
And we will be dark next week, but the week after that, we should all be back and we will be ready to play this game again. I think that's it. Try not to die, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace
Bye.
out. Are we off? Nope.
What?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Nope.
I'll continue to wave.
Bonus action.
Bonus action.
The continuing bonus actions.
Bonus action continued.
Nope, still alive.
We're gonna keep waiting.
I'm just gonna keep waving. That's what I do. I just keep waving. Yep.
Hold on. Last time I think we can. I don't know who's running the Zoom call, but we. Oh,
I think that would be someone who's not here.
not here. So I think we'll just have to individually leave, and that would solve at least half of our problem of being on screen the entire time and waving. So we'll see you in a little bit, and we'll get the stream off in a moment. Peace.
Bye.